PK in the universe, and I am back again with another video. And today I'm here to talk about, recently I watched a video from BCB, and I'll give you a link in the description below about his channel. Go check it out. He's a very Atari-centric channel, and he had done a video talking about this teaser that had been shown for possibly a new Atari console. Could be something else entirely, I don't know. We'll find out probably by the time you're watching this, because the new thing's supposed to be announced on Tuesday, and this is a Monday as I'm recording this. So we will find out soon enough what this teaser is about for this Atari console, possibly. So anyways, it got me thinking. It got me thinking about Atari, and it got me thinking about Evercade as well. It got me thinking about Blaze and Atari and their history together. It's a long one that goes back even before Evercade, you know, because one of the first handhelds Blaze made was an Atari handheld, actually. And and then of course they've made 5 cartridges, I think they're up to now. There's 2 Atari 1 and 2, Atari Lynx 1 and 2, and of course there's the Atari Arcade Collection. And I was thinking about it, Atari is a significantly bigger company than Blaze. Why don't they make their own Evercade competitor? You know, years and years ago when the Atari VCS, which I got one right here, was originally announced, and then the Intellivision Amico was announced, I was thinking there was going to be this like retro gaming console wars, you know, consoles of the bygone era coming back to, you know, duke it out. And obviously Intellivision and the Amico has been a huge disaster, which I never would have guessed, honestly. Back in like 2018 when we first heard about it, I was like, oh, that's a surefire thing, you know, it's a great simple concept, how could anyone mess that up? Oops. And then the Atari VCS, from the get-go, I honestly thought it was a scam, because it's like, what are you going to build with $3 million? Well, they did build something, and it exists, and it works, and it's great, and it's still continuing to be supported. It is still continuing to be supported, and it's continued to be a platform for Atari games, you know, not just Atari games, but like homebrew Atari games as well as, you know, indie games and stuff like that, and the Atari Recharge series, you know, as like a early access to the Atari Recharge series. You know, it's great. It's great for what it is. It has a purpose and it has value, but obviously, again, the Amico did not work out and probably won't. You never know. I mean, anything could happen. Like, there's like a 1% chance it'll work out, but I think the games are still going to come to some systems, I want to say, but obviously that console war is never going to happen. So you have the Blaze Evercade, obviously. The Blaze Evercade, the Evercade VS. You know, the Evercade VS is everything the Coleco Chameleon could have been and should have been, honestly. It's a cartridge-based console that plays old-school games and indie games, which is what a lot of people wanted as far back as like 2014, when the Coleco Chameleon and Retro VGS is what it was called at the time, even before. That's what people wanted, and people were excited about that concept and that idea, and that thing didn't work out, but this did. This actually worked out. But these two are not direct competitors. Totally different animals. So I'm like, why doesn't Atari have a competitor? And what would they call it? You know, I guess my first thought is, you know, I think about the Atari Panther. The Panther was the code name for basically what was going to be the successor to the Atari 7800. It was going to be a, I don't know, 16-bit or 32-bit console, you know, just depends on how you did the math and whatnot. But it was being developed simultaneously at the same time as the Jaguar, but Atari ended up going with Jaguar, and for good reason, you know, because it was a more powerful system. And some of those games that were going to be on the Panther ended up coming to Jaguar. So I'm like, why not use the Panther name? That just seems really logical, because, you know, and this could be a system that maybe plays more than 32 bits, maybe plays 64 bits, maybe will play actual Jaguar games. I think that would be really neat. Now, they would have to have a portable version, okay? And some people might be like, you know, my buddy Super Nintendo speculated about a Lynx 3, and I'm like, why not a Bobcat? Why not a smaller Atari Lynx looking console? I think would be pretty cool. And guess what? Atari, of course, has the rights to Bubsy the Bobcat now. Why not make a Bubsy edition one? That would be pretty cool. And these could use the same cartridges as the Panther, you know, the home console version. And you would have a competitor for Blaze's Evercade line of consoles. Personally, I think this console should be at least as powerful as the PlayStation Classic. You know, the PlayStation Classics, man, I remember they were $100 back in the day, and then by the time it was all said and done, I remember getting one for like $25. I think it should be just as powerful as that. I don't know how many cartridge slots it should have, Maybe they end up having a policy of no digital games at all, and everything is physical games, but the console is still updatable and the cartridges would still be updatable. You know, something that really sets it apart from Blaze's Evercade. Now, why? But as an Evercade fan and an Atari fan, some people might be like, well, why would you want this to happen? And I think from the standpoint of, I can understand why Blaze would not want this to happen. Blaze would like to have a monopoly. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can see why Blaze would want to have a monopoly on this niche. I can see how the most hardcore Evercade fans would not want to see this. But I feel like, yeah, some people who are Atari fans and Evercade fans might have mixed feelings. They might be like, oh, yeah, it's cool. Or maybe they're like, you know what? I can play Atari games already on Evercade. Why would I need that? And that's the thing, though, is, you know, Atari has such great IPs that they could really leverage for a console like that. The thing about competition is, competition breeds innovation and breeds an increase in quality, because when you have two competitors, they're always trying to outdo each other. So if Atari were to make their own competitor to the Blaze Evercade, I think at the end of the day, the consumers will be the winners in it all. You know, I think about too, like Pico Interactive 1. What happened to Pico Interactive 1, the first collection? It's a legacy cart now. And why is that? It's because Atari bought back some of their IPs from Pico Interactive. Imagine if Atari could re-release Pico Interactive 1, you know, to its console. Because right now people are paying upwards of $30 for Pico Interactive 1 just to play those games. I mean, yeah, technically speaking, you could buy those games individually on Steam, but it'd be great to have them in a single, affordable, individual cart. I think overall, yeah, I think Blaze having some competition would not be the worst thing in the world. Now, again, if you're a hardcore Evercade fan, you might disagree with me, and that's totally fair. At the end of the day, I'd like to see Blaze go after more indie devs. At the end of the day, they're doing a really good job with that. They are definitely heading in the right direction. I'm looking forward to seeing Indie Heroes 3. There's been a bunch of dual carts announced recently with indie games on them. You know, it's going well for Blaze, but I think honestly, yeah, if they had some competition, would not be the worst thing in the world. I say that purely as a consumer. I think it's a great perspective, and I think a lot of people maybe haven't considered it. So what are your guys' thoughts? Would you like to see Atari create an Evercade competitor? Or would you like to see Atari create a VCS 2.0? Comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay awesome in this universe. Thanks. Bye.